Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Mass Effect here on the Game Professor channel. I'm your host, the Game Professor, and last episode we picked up Dr. Liara Tassoni. So, that being a main story mission, we now have to go and check in with all the crew. I'm going to start off down below in the cargo bay, where we will find Rex, Garrus, Tally, and Ashley. So, lots of good discussions coming forth with the crew. We'll finish up with Liara, and that being in part to just give her a bit more time to rest, because she was a little tired, but also I just like ending with her. It's always been my preferred order to just kind of do everyone else somewhat randomly, but always end with Liara. Hey, Tally.
Your ship's amazing, Shepard. I've never seen a drive core like this before. I can't believe you were able to fit it into a ship this small. I'm starting to understand why you humans have been so successful. I had no idea Alliance vessels were so advanced.
It's a special ship.
The Normandy's a prototype, cutting-edge technology.
A month ago, I was patching a makeshift fuel line into a converted tug ship in the flotilla. Now, I'm sitting on board one of the most advanced vessels in Citadel space. I have to thank you again for bringing me along. Traveling on a vessel like this is a dream come true for me.
Yeah, you're into ships?
I had no idea you found ship technology so interesting.
It comes with being a Quarian. The migrant fleet is the key to the survival of my people. Ships are our most valuable resource. But we don't have anything like this. We make do with cast-offs and second-hand equipment. We just try to keep them running for as long as we can. Some of the fleet's larger vessels date all the way back to our original flight from the get.
That's impressive.
I can't believe your fleet's still using ships that are 3 centuries old.
They're constantly being repaired, modified, and refitted. They aren't pretty, but they work. Mostly. We've tried to make ourselves as independent as possible on the flotilla. Grow our own food, mine, and process our own fuel. But some things we just can't make on our own. A patch to maintain the hull integrity requires raw materials we just don't have. That's why our pilgrimages are so important.
That makes sense. Yeah, tell me more about your people.
Tell me about your people.
Our lives aren't easy. Resources are scarce, and we are constantly on the move. Everything we do must in some way contribute to the continuation of the migrant fleet. There are 17 million Quarians in the flotilla, and each of us relies on the others for survival. The bonds among my people are strong. Unfortunately, we have had to surrender many of the freedoms and civil liberties other species take for granted.
Yeah, like what?
What kind of freedoms?
Well, it's illegal for parents to have more than one child. If our population grows too much, it would strain our resources to their breaking point. Of course, we also can't allow our numbers to become too few. If our population is in decline, the rule against single births is temporarily repealed. In extreme cases of population decline, incentives are even offered to encourage multiple births, though the Conclave hasn't had to take such measures in nearly a century.
What's the Conclave?
That's your government.
The Conclave is our civilian branch of government. Each ship can elect a representative to serve on the Conclave and make decisions that affect the fleet as a whole. On matters that affect an individual ship, however, the captain has the final say. It's a tradition that dates back to the early days, when the fleet was governed by martial law. Fortunately, most captains nowadays are smart enough to have an elected council from their crew to give them advice and guidance.
So you're effectively democratic, kind of a bit of a democratic republic-ish.
So the ultimate power rests with elected officials?
In practice, the Conclave and the respective council for each ship tend to set the rules that govern our daily lives. But in theory, we are still under military jurisdiction. The 5 top-ranking military officials in the fleet serve on the Admiralty Board. These 5 have the power to overrule any decision by the Conclave in case of emergency. To do so requires unanimous agreement among the Admiralty, and they can only do this once. After that, the entire board must resign their posts. It's a safeguard that served us well. In nearly 3 centuries, the Admiralty Board has only overruled the Conclave 4
That's
times.
impressive. Tell me more about the Geth.
I want to know more about the Geth.
I doubt I can tell you anything you don't already know. It's been almost 3 centuries since they drove my people into exile. All I know is the story of their origins. What they were when we created them, and how they turned on us.
Yeah, tell me.
Interesting.
The Geth were originally created to serve as an automated manual labor force. Initially, their intelligence was as limited as any VI. Over time, we made small modifications to their programming to allow them to perform more varied and complex tasks, bringing them closer and closer to true AI status.
And isn't that illegal?
How come the Council didn't step in and stop you?
This wasn't true AI research. We may have been skirting the bounds of the law, but we never did anything that was actually illegal. The changes were so insignificant, so gradual, that we were able to control them. Or so we thought. But one thing we underestimated was the power of the neural network. 1 million Geth thinking simultaneously created an inherently unstable matrix.
So the Geth share brainpower?
Many of the Geth's logic systems were designed to work in concert with other nearby Geth. Basically, the more of them you have in the group, the smarter they are.
Yeah, that does sound slightly hive mind-like.
So there's some sort of group consciousness.
No, nothing like that. They cannot share sensory data or information. Their programming cannot handle that much simultaneous input.
At least it couldn't.
Each Geth maintains an individual awareness and identity. The neural network only operates on a process-based level. It's basically the synthetic equivalent of a subconscious.
Okay.
But when they're in close proximity, they can coordinate low-level functional processes, freeing up more capacity for original or independent thought.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't think we get much more of a description, but yeah, I don't get it.
That doesn't make any sense.
I'm probably oversimplifying. The Geth are incredibly advanced and complex creations. All you need to know is that they get smarter when they gather in large numbers.
Okay.
As we built more and more Geth, their effective intelligence became more sophisticated, more abstract. One day, a Geth began to ask its Quarian overseer questions about the nature of its existence. Am I alive? Why am I here? What is my purpose? As you can imagine, this caused a near panic among my people.
Yeah, why?
I don't see what's so bad about those questions.
The Geth were created to engage in mundane, repetitive, or dangerous manual labor. That's fine for machines, but it won't satisfy a sentient being for long. The Geth were showing signs of rudimentary self-awareness and independent thought. If the Geth were intelligent, then we were essentially using them as slaves. It was inevitable the newly sentient Geth would rebel against their situation. We knew they would rise up against us, so we acted first. A general order went out across all Quarian-controlled systems to permanently deactivate all Geth. The Geth responded to this order violently.
Yeah, so they defended themselves.
Hey, you can't blame them for fighting for their survival.
We had no other choice. The Geth were already on the verge of revolution. By acting quickly, we had a chance to end the war before it began. The hope was that most of the Geth would still be little more than machines, incapable of organized resistance. But they had progressed much further than anyone anticipated. The war was long and bloody. Millions upon millions of Quarians died at their hands. In the end, we were forced to flee our own homeworld. We feared the Geth would pursue us, but they never came beyond the Veil. Now we drift through space, exile searching for a way to reclaim what was once ours.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it again. They defended themselves.
It's hard to feel sorry for you. Your ancestors tried to wipe out another species.
We made a mistake when we created the Geth in the first place, but we did not make a mistake when we went to war against them. If we had not acted, they would have wiped us out. They're a synthetic life form. They have no use for organics. None. Why do you think they cut themselves off from the rest of the galaxy? Why do you think they've killed every organic being who's ever tried to contact them?
Not everyone.
They didn't kill Saren.
What does that tell you? The Geth are not innocent victims in all this. They're the enemy. They want to destroy us. Not just the Quarians. All organic life. That's why they've joined up with Saren. And that's why we have to stop him.
Okay, yeah. The interesting thing about that conversation, though, and it'll become clearer in the next game, and in the next two games, really, is that there is an awareness among the Quarians that they created life, and like actual life, and then couldn't contend with that fact. So the Geth are an interestingly complex figure within this universe. Definitely enemies within this first game, but very complex. Tell me a bit more about your pilgrimage.
I want to know more about the pilgrimage.
When my people reach maturity, we leave our birth ships and seek acceptance with a new crew. It's necessary to maintain genetic diversity among the fleet. But no ship wants to accept someone who will be a burden on them. So, to prove our worth, we embark on a pilgrimage.
Okay.
We set out alone, leaving the flotilla and our families behind us. We only return once we have found something of value we can bring back to the fleet. This is presented as a gift to the captain of the respective ship we wish to join. If the gift is accepted, we are welcomed into the crew.
Do they always accept?
Can a captain choose to reject the gift?
That doesn't happen often. Most captains are eager to increase the size of their crew. It increases their own standing in our society. Even when the gift is not particularly valuable, the captain usually accepts it out of a sense of tradition. However, there is a stigma to presenting a substandard gift. It's not the best way to make a good impression on a new community. Most pilgrims don't return until they find something worthwhile.
All right. Well,
I want to talk about something
I
else.
think that is it.
Like what?
I should go.
See you later.
All right. And you can see there that conversation took about 13 minutes, 12, 13 minutes. So the time adds up quickly. Tally is one of the longest conversations, though, if I remember correctly. Garrus and Rex definitely don't take nearly as long.
Commander, nice work out there. I knew working with the Spectre would be better than life at
You
CSEC.
knew?
Have you worked with the Spectre before?
Well, no, but I know what they're like. Spectres make their own rules. You're free to handle things your way. At CSEC, you're buried by rules. The damn bureaucrats are always on your back.
It's not that bad.
For the most part, the rules are there for a reason.
Maybe. But sometimes it feels like the rules are only there to stop me from doing my work. If I'm trying to take down a suspect, it shouldn't matter how I do it, as long as I do it.
But CSEC wants it done their way. Protocol and procedure come first. That's why I left.
That was your reason?
So you just quit because you didn't like the way they do things?
There's more to it than that. It didn't start out bad, but as I rose in ranks, I got saddled with more and more red tape. CSEC's handling of Saren was typical. I just couldn't take it anymore. I hate leaving.
It is a tough decision, I will give him that.
I hope you made the right choice. I'd hate for you to regret it later.
Well, that's sort of why I teamed up with you. It's a chance for me to get off the Citadel, see how things are done outside CSEC. Either way, I plan to make the most of this.
And without CSEC headquarters looking over my shoulder, well, maybe I can get the job done my way for a change.
I'd say that depends.
If getting the job done means endangering innocent people, then no. We get the job done right, not fast. Got it?
I wasn't trying to. I understand, Commander.
I love Garrus as a character. Within my conceptualization of these games as an adolescent narrative, Garrus is a really cool figure to consider within that, because Shepard essentially acts as an older teen mentor to him. Like, they're both teens, and it's like the freshman looking up to the senior sort of thing. Which, little spoiler alert for everybody, Shepard will not be romancing Garrus in this. I apologize. I know I don't remember if I mentioned this before. I may have, but for all my Shakarian fans out there, I'm sorry. There will be no Shakarian love in this playthrough. It's just not... It's not my vibe with Shepard at all. Like, they're bros. It doesn't matter which gender Shepard is. To me, Garrus and Shepard are always bros. So, moving on, though, we will chat with Ashley.
Commander?
How are we doing?
What's your opinion of the last mission?
Not sure I buy Dr. Tassoni's story about her and her mom not talking. They're family, right?
I believe her.
I think she's being straight with us. Or at least I don't think she lies very often.
Yeah, she's probably really bad at it. Too bad those ruins got destroyed. I mean, they lasted thousands of years. That's impressive.
Very true. Can we talk?
Do you have a few minutes to talk? One-on-one?
Sure. I was hoping to get a minute of your time off the record.
Okay.
I keep an open door policy. If you have any concerns, lay them on me.
All right. I know things are different aboard the Normandy, but I'm concerned about the aliens, Vicarian and Rex. With all due respect, Commander, should they have full access to the ship?
Because they're not Alliance?
They may not serve the Alliance, Chief, but they're allies. At least as far as Saren goes.
This is the most advanced ship in the Alliance Navy. I don't think we should give them free rein to poke around the vital systems. Engines, sensors, weapons.
The funny thing is, she's not worrying about Tali at all, and Tali's the one who would probably be able to get the most, like, under wraps information between the three of the aliens. You don't trust aliens? I'm not gonna say you're out of line yet.
You don't trust the Alliance's allies?
I'm not sure I'd call the Council races allies. We, humanity, I mean, have to learn to rely on ourselves.
We need allies, Ash.
Standing up for ourselves doesn't mean standing alone.
I don't think we should turn down allies. I just think we shouldn't bet everything on them staying allies. As noble as the Council members seem now, if their backs are against the wall, they'll abandon us.
Not necessarily.
I don't see that as inevitable.
Look, if you're fighting a bear and the only way for you to survive is to sick your dog on it and run, you'll do it. As much as you love your dog, it isn't human. It's not racism, not really. Members of their species will always be more important to them than humans are.
Oh, Ash, why do you feel that?
These seem like deeply held beliefs, Williams. What made you think this way?
My family's defended the Alliance since it was founded. My father, grandfather, great-grandmother, they all picked up a rifle and swore the oath of service. I guess we just tend to think of Earth's interests as our own.
Okay. Your service.
It doesn't sound like you've worked with aliens before.
No, ma'am. Mainly I've been groundside, part of the surface garrison forces. I did get a rotation on a space station for training. Every Marine a rifleman, every rifleman ZG certified.
Just one rotation? Or, no, you deserve better. You're a good Marine.
That's odd. Your record is spotless and your technical scores are exemplary. You should be serving with the fleet.
Anyway, that's why I haven't served with many aliens,
Okay.
Commander.
Tell me a bit more about your family.
I come from a military family, too. My parents were both Navy. Anybody in your family we might know?
Couldn't say, Commander. We probably have a lot in common. You join up to carry on the tradition?
Yeah.
Mainly I wanted to serve. Protect the Alliance, save lives, you know?
Glad to hear it. I'd hate to think you were out here for a free college education.
Oh, Ash. I actually do really like Ash. She develops a lot over the course of the series. But, oh boy, she is a thing here at the beginning. And yes, I do understand your feelings.
Alright, I can see where your concerns are coming from, Williams. But this is a multilateral mission. You're gonna have to work with aliens, like it or not.
It won't be a problem, Commander. You say jump, I say how high. You tell me to kiss a Turian, I'll ask which cheek.
Yeah, remember that.
I'm glad there won't be a problem.
Anything else you need, Commander?
No, I think we're good.
Dismissed, Chief.
Ma'am.
All right. And, yeah. Chat with Rex, then we'll go up to Caden and Liara.
What can I do for you?
Yeah, tell me about yourself.
What's your story, Rex?
There's no story. Go ask the Quarian if you want stories.
Come on.
You Krogans live for centuries. Don't tell me you haven't had a few interesting adventures.
Well, there was this one time the Turians almost wiped out our entire race. That was fun.
Yeah.
I heard about that. You know, they almost did the same to us.
It's not the same.
It isn't?
It seems pretty much the same to me.
So your people were infected with a genetic mutation? An infection that makes only a few in 1,000 children survive birth? And I suppose it's destroying your entire species?
Yeah, I see your point.
I suppose it isn't all the same.
I don't expect you to understand, but don't compare humanity's fate with the Krogan.
Yeah, touchy subject?
I was just making conversation. I wasn't trying to upset you.
Your ignorance doesn't upset me, Shepard. As for the Krogan, I gave up on them long ago. The genophage infected us, but it's not what's killing us.
Yeah. Tell me about your extinction.
Are your people really dying?
We're sure not getting any stronger. We're too spread out. None of us are interested in staying in our own system.
Yeah?
Lots of species have left their homes and prospered.
But they go to colonize new worlds. We're not settlers. We're warriors. We want to fight.
Sorry.
So we leave. Hire ourselves out. And most of us never go back.
Okay. And tell me a bit more about the genophage.
What can you tell me about the genophage?
Ask the Solarians if you want details. They made it.
Okay.
All I know, it makes breeding nearly impossible. Thousands die in stillbirth, and most never get that far. Every Krogan is infected. Every one. And no one's rushing to find a cure.
Yeah, that seems a little wild.
Why don't the Krogan try to find a cure?
When was the last time you saw a Krogan scientist? You ask a Krogan, would he rather find a cure for the genophage or fight for credits? He'll choose fighting every time. It's just who we are, Shepard. I can't change that. Nobody can.
All right.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
And if you remember from a couple episodes ago, that's essentially the description I gave of the genophage. And we learn a whole lot more about it over the course of the series, especially in the next game. And it's an interesting and pretty terrifying and atrocious thing when you think about it. especially when you get into those details that Rex explains there. But it definitely is more complex than that as well. But let's chat with Kaidan, then we will finish up with Liara.
Commander, do you have a minute?
I'm listening.
I always make time for my officers.
Off the record, I think there's something wrong here. This Saren is looking for records on some kind of galactic extinction, but we can't get backup from the Council? Sorry, Commander. There's writing on the wall here, but someone isn't reading.
Yeah, I hear you.
The Council doesn't want to believe anything's wrong. I'd call it human nature, but...
I hear you. It just seems like a group that's been around as long as the Council should see this coming. I mean, it's funny, we finally get out here, and the final frontier was already settled. And the residents don't even seem impressed by the view. Or the dangers.
Yeah, that is a cute way to look at it.
Well, well. You're a romantic. Did you sign on for the dream, Malenko? Secure a man's future in space?
Yeah, I read a lot of those books when I was a kid, where the hero goes to space to prove himself worthy of a woman he loves, or...
Oh, no.
For justice. Or maybe I was a romantic in the beginning, but I thought about it after brain camp. Biotic acclimation and temperance training. I'm not looking for the dream. I just want to do some good. See what's out here. Sorry if I got too informal. Protocol wasn't a big focus back in Bot.
That's alright.
Tell me about it.
Biotic acclimation and temperance didn't last past the airlock. To the kids they hauled in, it was brain camp. Sorry, hauled in is unkind. We were encouraged to commit to an evaluation of our abilities so an understanding of biotics could be compiled. There are worse results of accidental exposure to element 0 in the womb. Beats the brain tumors some kids grew up
Oof,
with.
yeah. You doubt it was accidental?
Is there some question about how you were exposed?
My mother was downwind of a transport crash. It was before there were human biotics, a little after the discovery of the Martian ruins. It only gets iffy around 63 when Kinetics was running out of first-gen subjects. Until then, they'd relied on accidentals. A bunch of guys in suits show up at your door after school, and next thing you know, you're out on Jump Zero.
Tell me about Jump Zero.
Jump Zero is Gagarin Station, right? What's it like?
Yeah, that's the official name. Biggest and farthest facility we had for decades. Right on the termination shock, the outer edge of the solar system. It's where they did all the Goose Chase FTL research before we caught on to using mass effect fields. It was a sterile research platform when I was there.
Did you have any friends?
There were other kids in the same boat, right? At least you weren't alone out there.
That's true. We did have a little circle that'd get together every night before lights out. We didn't have much to do, though. It was a research platform then, and Kinetics kept Jump Zero off the extranet to prevent leaks.
Yeah, time to talk then.
Then you must have had plenty of time to get to know each other.
Yeah, we'd sit around and bull every night after dinner, play cards or network games. There was this girl named Rana, who had a little circle grow up around her. She was from Turkey, her family was very rich. But she was smart, and charming as hell. Beautiful, but not stuck up about it. Like you, I guess.
Oh no. The Kaidan crush has begun.
Sounds like she was special to you.
She was. Maybe she felt the same. But things never felt together. Training.
Makes sense. Tell me about the possibility of intentional exposures.
You know of any intentional exposures for certain?
No one knows. Doesn't mean they didn't happen. As big as the exposures were, it was hard to track down accidentals. It was different then. No one knew the potential, so there wasn't a lot of regulation. Anything Kinetics did was gold. I'm not saying they intentionally detonated drives over our outposts, but in retrospect, they were damn quick on the scene.
Yeah, that is pretty damning evidence, I'd say.
Jump Zero's a long way from home. What was it like?
The grand gateway to humanity looks a lot better in the vids. This was supposed to be a casual debrief, not a bull session about stuff that happened years ago.
I want to know my crew.
We have to depend on each other in combat. I like knowing what kind of man I have at my back.
I understand, ma'am. I won't let you down. You, make a habit of getting this personal with everyone?
To some degree.
Of course. But I don't enjoy it with everyone. We'll talk again later.
I'll need some time to process that, Commander. But, yeah, I'd like that.
Oh boy, okay. Well, I think...
Anything you need, Commander?
Tactical appraisal.
What's your opinion on the last mission?
Dr. Tassoni. She seems nice enough. I mean, if you like the bookish sort.
Do you?
Any intentions there, Lieutenant?
None, Commander. I prefer adventurous women.
Oh boy. Alright,
We'll talk later, Caden.
I'd like that.
oh boy. Oh boy. Well, there's always there can be an amusing interaction if I manage to keep that up. But gonna chat with Liara, and this will finish up the episode.
Commander, are you coming to check up on me?
Yeah, I was worried.
You look much better. How are you feeling?
Dr. Chakwas assures me I am going to be fine. I was impressed with her knowledge of Asari physiology.
She is the best.
You're in good hands. Dr. Chakwas knows what she's doing.
I never properly thanked you for saving me from the Geth, Commander. If you hadn't shown up...
Don't mention it.
I'm just glad we got there in time.
So am I. I know you took a chance bringing me aboard this ship. I have seen the way your crew looks at me. They do not trust me. But I am not like Benezia. I will do whatever I can to help you stop Saren. I promise.
I know you will.
Don't worry, Liara. I trust you. I know you won't let me down.
It means a lot to hear you say that, Commander. Thank you.
Yeah, let's get to know you a bit.
Tell me about yourself, Liara.
Me? I am afraid I am not very interesting, Commander. I spend most of my time on remote digs, unearthing mundane items buried in long-forgotten Prothean ruins.
Yeah, you must get lonely.
Sounds dangerous. And lonely.
Sometimes I would run afoul of indigenous life forms or stumble across a small band of mercenaries or privateers, but I was always careful. Until the Geth followed me to Artemis Tau, I never found myself in any situation my biotics could not handle. As for the solitude, well, that is one aspect that most appealed to me. Sometimes I just need to get away from other people.
Why's that?
You don't like other people?
I suppose it comes from being a matriarch's daughter. People expected me to follow in Benezia's footsteps. They wanted me to become a leader of our people. Matriarchs guide their followers into the future. They seek the truth of what is yet to come. Maybe that's why I became so interested in the secrets of the past.
That makes sense.
It sounds so foolish when I say it out loud. It sounds like I became an archaeologist simply to spite Benezia.
Not foolish at all.
All children rebel against their parents. It's a natural part of growing up.
Aha, you share the wisdom of the matriarch, Shepard. That is exactly what Benezia said when I told her of my decision. But there was more to it than that. I felt drawn to the past. The Protheans were these wondrous, mysterious figures. I wanted to know everything about them. That is why I find you so fascinating. You were marked by the beacon on Eden Prime. You were touched by working Prothean technology.
I'm fascinating, huh?
Sounds like you want to dissect me in a lab somewhere.
What? No, I did not mean to insinuate. I never meant to offend you, Shepard. I only meant that you would be an interesting specimen for an in-depth study. No, that's even worse.
Oh, she's so adorable. I love her.
Calm down, Liara. I was only joking.
Joking? Oh, by the goddess, how could I be so dense? You must think I am a complete and utter fool. Now you know why I prefer to spend my time in the field with data disks and computers. I always seem to say something embarrassing around other people.
She's so cute.
Please, just pretend this conversation never happened.
All right. Tell me a bit more. Yeah. I'm going to finish up these last two things. Tell me more about Benezia.
Do you know why Benezia joined up with Saren?
I don't understand it. She was always outspoken about the need for the Asari to become more involved in shaping galactic events. Maybe she thought allying herself with Saren would somehow be for the greater good in the long run. At least I hope so.
You sound troubled.
This hurts you, doesn't it?
None of this makes any sense to me. I have not spoken to Benezia in many years, but I know her, and this was not like her. Something changed.
Definitely concerning. What can you tell me about Asari culture?
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
We were the first species to discover the Citadel. We were instrumental in forming the Council, and we always strive to be the voice of peaceful cooperation in galactic disputes. My people believe we are all part of a single galactic community. Each species contributes something to the greater whole. Although we seek to understand other species, it seems few of them seek to understand us. The galaxy is filled with rumors and misinformation about my people.
What kind of rumors?
Like what?
Most of the inaccuracies are centered around our mating rituals. My species is monogendered. Male and female have no real meaning for us. We still require a partner to reproduce. This second parent, however, may be of any species and any gender.
Yeah, how is that possible?
I don't understand. Your species can mate with anyone?
Mating is not quite the proper term, not as you understand it. Physical contact may or may not be involved, but it is not an essential element of the union. The true connection is mental. Our physiology allows us to meld with other beings. We can touch the very depths of their minds. We explore the genetic memory of their species. We share the most basic elements of their individual and racial identities. We then pass these traits on to our daughters. It is how we learn to grow as a species and how we develop a greater understanding of other races.
And this is a really interesting aspect of the trope that the Asari are fitting into. I think I mentioned this in an earlier episode, but the Asari are essentially the green alien chick trope of science fiction. And by making their reproduction system inherently non-sexual, the developers have and writers have basically turned the entire trope on its head, and I love that. And I also generally have a theory about Liara in regard to this as a romance option. I'll get more into that at a later date, though. But very interesting to consider when you think about the trope that the Asari are fitting within general science fiction narratives, especially space-based science fiction narratives. What about the other parent?
What happens to your partner after the union?
Every relationship is different. Some unions are a single encounter with both parents parting ways afterwards. Others can be more long-term. Sometimes an Asari and her partner will stay together for many decades.
Yeah, what about the age difference?
You Asari live for 1,000 years. What happens when your partner dies?
Few sapient species live as long as my kind. We have learned to take a philosophical approach to our unions. We do not focus on the inevitable loss of our partners. Instead, we enjoy the time we spend with them. And even after they're gone, a part of them lives on in us. The union is a connection that transcends both time and space.
Very interesting. Who was your father?
Do you know who Matriarch Benezia chose as her partner?
She rarely spoke of her partner. Though I know my father, if you want to use that term, was another Asari.
And this question is stupid. It's obvious that the Asari could conceivably mate with themselves. But you don't know who it was.
Benezia never told you her partner's name?
Union with our own kind is no longer common, not for the purposes of reproduction. Most Asari believe it weakens our species. Asari daughters inherit racial traits from the father species. If both parents are Asari, then nothing has been gained, or so conventional wisdom would hold. I am what is sometimes called a pureblood, though no Asari would ever be cruel enough to say the word to my face. It is a great insult among my people. It is possible Benezia's partner was embarrassed by their union. She may have been too ashamed to publicly acknowledge me as her offspring.
Yeah, you don't know that.
Maybe she wanted to meet you but couldn't. Maybe something could have happened to her. Maybe she passed away.
You might be right. I hope you are. But I have no way to know for sure. Benezia never spoke of her partner. Whatever happened, it caused her too much pain to dwell on it. She raised me by herself, though that is not uncommon. Many Asari raise their children alone, particularly if the father species is short-lived. Often the partner will pass on long before the child reaches maturity.
All right. Well, lots of really good information from Liara there.
I should go.
Goodbye, Shepard.
And with that, everybody, that is going to be the end of this episode. I realize it was a long one, a very long one, but none of these debrief episodes will be this long in the future. We hit a lot of the longer discussion topics with Liara and Tali in particular, so the next one will not be this long, I promise. But next time we will embark on some more side quests, I think, before we go on to the next story mission. I do know that where Admiral Kahoku's men is in the Artemis Tau cluster, so we'll probably go on to that one next and head back to the Citadel to turn that into him. But until next time, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you always know when I have new videos coming out, and follow the links in the description to get to the Facebook page and Discord server so that you can join the conversation about these games. Until next time, everybody, this is your Game Professor, signing off.